Hello everyone. Now I'm going to present my master's project, Intelligent Chatbot using Deep Neural Network. I have developed this application using Google's machine learning framework, TensorFlow. Specifically, I have used Deep Neural Network technology. I have developed this chatbot using Cornell's movie dialogue corpus. It had around 300,000 utters. Specifically for this project, sequence-to-sequence modeling was used. Sequence-to-sequence modeling is based on encoder-decoder architecture, where both encoder and decoder are built using recurrent neural network. Specifically for this project, both the encoder and the decoder had bidirectional LSTM, because it has been seen that bidirectional LSTM works better than other variations like unidirectional LSTM. And also, instead of using vanilla RNN cells, I have used LSTM cells, because this helps remember the relevant informations in the memory in the sequence and reduces the network overload. Also, for performance enhancement, industry standard is using neural attention mechanism. So I have also applied neural attention mechanism along with beam search for enhancing the performance. The performance of the chatbot was far better than the vanilla RNN for after using the attentional mechanism, neural attentional mechanism. So specifically for language modeling task and natural language processing task. So for developing the front end, the Python was used, and backend was also developed using Python. The front end used PyQt for the GUI. So let's see a couple of examples how this chatbot performs. I should say that as the training was done in only around 3,000 to 5,000 iterations, it is not really a well-trained model. Usually around 12,000 is minimum requirement, and also 500,000 would be far more better, and more data would make a robust chatbot. So I have attempted with a lot less data. Let's see how it performs. So this is the left hand side of this chatbot is the response. The response is actually chosen by random from all the possible response values. For training, I have chosen 30 responses per input. So these are a couple of responses that are possible from in reply to hello. So it replied when the randomly one option was chosen, it said no, but on the right hand side there are a couple of acceptable options available. In response to how are you, it responds with I don't know, I'm sorry, which is a randomly chosen response, and other possible response that the sequence to sequence module has generated is I don't know, I'm sorry, no I don't know. Typically what happens is I don't know is a very generic response to a lot of questions or a lot of comments. So as the training was done on less data and with less iterations, it seems to have more instances of replies as such as I don't know. So in response to I need to eat breakfast, it replied with I'm hungry. Do you want to eat? Do you need to eat? You don't have to eat. You don't want to be hungry. All of these seems little bit rational than previous responses. For processing the input string from the front end, the input string was sent to the back end to process, and some of the pre-processing was done before feeding it into the network to derive some inference from the trained network. So it was each string like is a restaurant nearby, it was pre-processed to be lowercase to remove the extraneous punctuations and separate the punctuations by spaces in order to process it better and make it similar to the training data, because sometimes what happens is while pre-processing, if the data is confusing, like a word can be accompanied by some punctuations which can create confusion. So and treat the same word with a punctuation and without a punctuation as different, but which holds really little value in developing the language module. So I separated all the punctuations by spaces and removed the extraneous punctuations. So in response to is there a restaurant nearby, the response was yes, and which was a designated response, but other responses included what are you doing, which really doesn't feel like a good response. So in response to I need to get some coffee, it responded with another with a questions which seems intuitive, because this is how conversations flow, but it looks more clarifying question than a really good flowing conversation. So in order to improve that, it might be required that some reinforcement learning could be used after the initial training, or with a variation of the original training mechanism, in order to reduce the likelihood to produce this repeated generic responses. So I need to get some coffee was replied with what do you need, what do you want to do, what do you need to do, and what do you want, what do you mean. So this is my chatbot. I think it was, if it could get some more training and with more data, then it could fare well. Thank you for seeing my presentation. Goodbye.